You're listening to the One's Ready podcast, a team of Air Force Special Operators forged in combat with over 70 years of combined operational experience, as well as a decade of selection instructor experience. If you're tired of settling and you want to do something you truly believe in, you're in the right place. Now here's your favorite CCT personality, JTAC extraordinaire, embracer of the ridiculous face, and like the shortest operator you'll ever meet, Peaches.
Hey everybody. We're One's Ready, and we're here in the team room. Want to talk to you guys about recovery, but first, what we want to talk about is Strike Force Energy and Alpha Brew. For me, Strike Force Energy, I was introduced to them about a year and a half ago. I went and I had lunch with a friend. She connected us with Zach Matbach. So he's the owner and CEO of Strike Force Energy, and I know Trent and I at least have been using it real world. We're throwing in our packs, go on jumps. It's a lot better than jumping in a monster and then having it explode when your ruck hits. So just so you guys know, there are these little sachets here. And if you guys want to support us, want to support the podcast, and then you want to support Strike Force Energy, just go over to strikeforceenergy.com and enter the promo code One's Ready, and you guys will get a sweet deal. We also brought in Alpha Brew Coffee Company, and I don't necessarily have a connection with them, but I know Aaron does. Aaron, you want to dive into it a little bit, will you?
I sure do, yeah. So another veteran-owned company that I used for a long time. First of all, I got into it because the coffee is delicious, right? Like I knew the owner, and I said, hey, Ricky, yeah, give me a bag of the coffee. I'll try it out. Just kind of like, hey, I'm kind of a coffee snob. I had no idea what I was missing, man. So it's all single origin. It's single bean, always responsibly sourced. It's got good, clean energy, and it's got nootropics in it. So not only does it have that caffeine to get you going in the morning, the coffee is amazing, clean, fresh, brews up beautifully, especially when you do it the right way with a pour over, which I didn't even know I was doing it wrong.
It's got that bloom.
Oh, it's got that bloom, baby. You better get that brew time right. But yeah, it's got that. Total coffee snob talk, but no, it's got that bloom. It's always fresh, and clean energy, and it's got a nootropic in it, so it actually helps your brain. Nootropics are things that help your brain actually process information. Man, when I knocked out some Alpha Brew, get my carafe of Alpha Brew going in the morning at work, man, it gets me through all of those things. There's no crash in the afternoon, and it's always fresh and great. So Alpha Brew coffee, so alphabrew.com. If you use the codes One's Ready on either Strike Force Energy or Alpha Brew, you'll get 10% off. You support them because they're supporting us, and we're trying to get these veteran-owned entrepreneur endeavors together. So yeah, Alpha Brew Coffee and Strike Force Energy, awesome partners. They've been great. Use the code One's Ready at checkout to get your 10% off.
Nope, that's right, and appreciate it. So like I mentioned, I am coming to you guys just so you're aware of this massive chair. I just want to highlight how small I actually am. This is a regular sized chair.
From the Alice in Wonderland exhibit at Disney World.
And his feet are doing the little kicking thing off the end of it. He can't touch it.
He's actually wearing a diaper right now, too. It's not.
Oh, man. That's a whole nother thing.
That's a different podcast, dog. That's a different topic.
That's a not safe for work podcast.
Better put that E on it.
Astronauts wear them.
So like I brought up in the intro, we're going to talk to you guys about recovery. There are many, many aspects of recovery that we could talk about, and that would be a 4 or 5 hour podcast. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up today was primarily physical recovery. We will have another podcast later on that talks about mental health and how to mentally recover, better going down that route. But today I want to talk about, or at least focus on, physical recovery. So, and this will help you out throughout as you're training for the pipeline, training in the pipeline, once you get on team and while you're on deployments, because I need to be able to take care of myself just like you need to be able to take care of yourself. And we can't rely on other people to always, stretch us out, give us massages or anything like that. So, Aaron, I want to roll to you. What are some of the ways that you recover, or you recovered in the pipeline, or you recover now? It doesn't matter.
The biggest one for me is sleep. The biggest one for me is always like that sleep hygiene. I feel better. Two main things. The first one doesn't fit into recovery, but drinking a gallon of water for me, that's always like my limit. Like if I drink a gallon of water, I feel better. If I do that consistently over a long time, I feel better for longer times. But sleep is the other one. So anytime that I'm feeling stressed or if I feel like I've been going to the gym hard, those are the two things that I focus on. And sleep, it's not only just getting good sleep. So I need usually 7 hours for me is a good number for me to hit. Hitting that 7 hours of sleep at night is awesome, but having those sleep hygiene routines to where I'm getting in bed at the same time, I'm waking up at the same time, I'm not listening to my alarm, I'm not hitting snooze 2 or 3 times in the morning, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know, put the phone down, do your meditation or your reading before bed, have that routine where you get some good sleep and then wake up. And that helps with everything else out. If I feel like I'm sleeping correctly and I'm getting that recovery at night, I'm able to train a lot harder.
No, I agree, and sleep hygiene is huge, and it's actually, you're almost regurgitating what Dr. Matt Walker said in his book, Why We Sleep, which is actually on our onesready.com website. If you haven't read it or you haven't listened to the audiobook, it's incredible, and if you follow it, it'll change your life. Now your social habits may suffer a bit. I mean, because now right? I'm like, oh man, hey, it's 9 o'clock. I really got to go to bed. So, but fantastic book, and it's on our website, so please check it out. But that's a great point with sleep hygiene. Brian, you want to bring in some of the other aspects that you use to recover?
Yeah, absolutely. So through training, one of the most important things that you can do, and which we didn't really do and get taught a lot of whenever we were first going through, INDOC and stuff, it was pretty much just, thrash your body and then go eat a pizza and go to sleep. That was pretty much it. So
a whole pizza.
Yeah, literally.
At least one.
Get your face kicked in and then go to Smoothie King and you'll be better. Down at the Riverwalk Mall, get yourself a big old smoothie and then walk around, watch a movie, and that's what recovery was.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't get taught like all these cool stretching techniques. Like if you go to the dorms right now over at Selection, a lot of these guys have foam rollers and they have lacrosse balls, they have the little rollers, they have like that whole thing that's just kind of issued to them because we're trying to view, or the Air Force is basically viewing, all these future operators as a aircraft, for lack of a better term, like as the analogy. So we have to take care of our platform, and the Air Force is really investing a lot of money into these people that are going to be the future. So in order to maintain them and sustain throughout, a 20-year career, we want to make sure that it starts in the beginning. So, with that, and all the workouts that I do, I have the app and everything. There's a little foam rolling and lacrosse ball rolling out kind of videos, and there's stretching videos that just show you, the basics of how you're supposed to be stretching and how you're supposed to react, because we know that shin splints are not only caused by impact, but the tightening of muscles that are attached to the bones, and they're eventually going to cause fractures and stuff. So if you do the maintenance on your musculature beforehand and after you finish working out, then that's going to help you perform better and be injured less often. So those are the big things that I like to do, is stretching and foam rolling. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen any, there's plenty of videos out there that you can look up, like trigger point therapy or the Supple Leopard thing. I think you had a post, Peach, that dude. I'm sure you're going to get into that stuff. So I won't steal your thunder on that, but those are huge things for me.
No. Hey, man, for a second, I thought you were about to go into full PA mode. Oh, man, we're about to lose me and a whole bunch of other people.
He's about to black out. You can see it coming. His eyes were glazing over. He was about to start
going cross.
Anatomy, physiology is coming out of the woodwork.
My glasses right here, just about to throw them on.
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked. Thanks for calling on me.
Well, I feel like I'm the one who should talk on this one.
Physiologically speaking.
Oh boy, Trent, can you bring us back a little bit?
Yeah, sure. First off, just like Brian was saying, all you guys that are coming into the pipeline and still complaining about things, one of the many reasons that I hate students right now is because we give you so much.
Right now.
Like it's we teach you everything, we give you everything. You walk into like the prep athletic training area, and it's like a D1 school in there with all the equipment that they have to take care of you, not to mention the personnel. So just recognize that it's a lot different than it used to be. Rub dirt, Motrin, keep trucking forward. That being said, I do take advantage of some of the things that we have now. My thing is the cold tub. I jump in that cold tub and I feel like a new man afterwards, and I don't think it's just physical. It helps me feel better. But also, it's not the easiest thing to do. And I feel mentally stimulated afterwards. You know, you get out, you're cold, you warm back up, and you just feel ready to go again. So if I'm feeling rough, particularly, you know, beat down, I just force myself into that cold water. I throw up some, One's Ready YouTube videos on my phone and zone out for like 7 minutes. And yeah, that's what I do.
You mean pay full attention?
You mean pay full attention?
Yeah,
Really, just let it.
so just make sure it really gets into my brain.
Mainline one's ready.
Yeah, it's just a clip. It's like a bunch of clips of me back to back, so he could just be like, He's like, the only person that likes the sound of my voice more than Trent is me.
No, it's the cold water hurts, but it's not near as bad as,
Perfect. Man,
Shots fired.
This is the
top
one. Did you guys ever see an entire group of friends fall out on a podcast? It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, because I'm doing a fantastic job of keeping us on task here.
Great job hosting.
Yeah. So for me then, as a dude, again, you got to be able to take care of yourself, right? Because I can't rely on anyone else to take care of me other than myself. You brought up Dr. Kelly Starrett's book, Supple, Leopard. He's got another one out, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. He's a fantastic guy who is able to really, I mean, he can go, full doctor mode on you like you can, Brian, but then he can also go, hey, you knuckle dragging ape, this is what you need to do at a minimum. So if you haven't checked out all his videos on ankle, knee, shoulder manipulation, psoas, you got to check them out, and also check out Supple Leopard, which consequently enough, we actually have on the website as well, onesready.com. But if you ever get a chance, he holds seminars, whether it's him or some of his affiliates, and they're fantastic to go to. I highly recommend it. But Aaron, I know you at least do this because I do, but hot yoga is fantastic.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Any of those.
Yeah.
So do you want to dive into at least in some of the yoga sessions that you've done? And
Sure.
And some of the benefits that you've seen coming out of it?
Sure. The big one for me is mental clarity. As we kind of branch into kind of the more non-standard stuff, right? The two things that I do is hot yoga and sensory deprivation or a float tank. I love hot yoga. I get done with hot yoga and it's not easy. Joe Rogan said that yoga is a martial art that you do against yourself, that you practice against yourself. And it really is. If you're trying to because newsflash, guys, I'm not a very flexible guy. I have a lifetime of injuries behind me, right? Some of my body parts don't work the same way, and they don't articulate quite the same way.
You're not
yoga
that
is. I know I do look young. It's because I moisturize. But man, hot yoga, I'll tell you, it's not easy. Getting into some of those poses, it's not easy, and especially when the instructor, I just got my butt handed to me the last hot yoga I did by some extremely limber and strong, 25-year-old female that was just like, no, it's okay if you can't do this, and my ego engaged, and it was over. But you get done and you feel so much better. You feel like you've lengthened those muscles out in those tight muscle groups, and then you add the hot yoga to it, and it's 140 degrees in that room, and I was dripping sweat and just completely smoked by the end of it. But the mental clarity and the kind of the reset that I get from that, it lasts a couple days. It's awesome. So, hot yoga. And then if somebody else wants to talk about float tanks, they've been covered. Joe Rogan, has talked about float tanks forever, but that's another great reset tool for me, physically, but mentally as well. Yoga and sensory deprivation tanks, they really help kind of reset those processes and get me ready to go hard in the following week.
No, it's funny that you bring up, sensory deprivation tanks, because, I'm sure some of the listeners have noticed by now that I have a slur occasionally. Well, I've been blown up a couple times, so ever since that happened, I come and go. I develop a little bit of a lisp, and I trip over my words, and I'm actually kind of in that phase right now. It kind of comes in phases. And so what I will do is I will actually go to a sensory deprivation tank and float for an hour and a half to help reset. And that'll work for 6 months, and then I'll hit a 2-week thing where I'm got a lisp again, and then I'll go do that, and then I'm good. So I don't know what that is that's causing that, but a deprivation tank, not everybody enjoys it. I've seen a couple of people pay for it and then they come out and go, there's no way I'm doing that, because they get claustrophobic and stuff like that. But they're fantastic and I love them. But
Dude,
Trent,
I smell colors when I'm in those things.
Yeah, I do have some wild dreams and wild illusions or whatever that is. I don't know, but it's a good reset for me.
Yeah.
But Trent, I want to revisit what you were talking about. So you guys are now providing foam rollers, lacrosse balls. Are you providing any of those like Therarest guns that are, that pulsate and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I don't want to brag, but the prep course basically has anything that you've heard about. They have the sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah,
they have the
game readies.
Dude, that's
the
awesome.
game readies. They have the hot, cold compression game readies. They have all the foam rollers, the vibrating foam rollers, all the lacrosse balls, all different sizes. They have the coaches that know how to get you to use those things correctly, working out every piece of your body. Like some of the things that we don't think about are the wrist, right? When you're doing a lot of push-ups, if you don't have wrist mobility, it jacks you up, and just down to that level of detail. So it's pretty crazy. So they have we have like 10-person cold tubs that we can put students into. I mean, it's incredible. I think we're trying to get saunas over there. So there's no expense spared. So they have the everything, the STEM or TIMS units, whatever they are, electrical stimulations. And not to mention that the trainers that have all the time in the world to make you better. So it's insane at this point. So and it's not just at prep. When I was leaving the 2-3, we had a lot of those things coming on board with the athletic trainers and everything else like that. Our athletic trainer loved to torture us, so that was always exciting to go in there and get fixed up. But everything that you need to be recovered these days, and not only to be recovered, but to be recovered the right way, because of everything that we're putting on the students to capture their physiological data. We will give you the correct thing to get you back in balance, so you can take more training in, and that way your body responds to it. You actually grow from the training and give you a better chance of success. So that's good. Where we're at.
That's good. And the fact that they're actually, those trainers are teaching you and training you how to do it so that you can take care of yourself. Because if you're not aware, we are on the road a lot. So there's a decent amount of sitting on an airplane, which just crushes my lower back. There's a whole lot of other things, throwing ruck on, jumping, that all crush you, and you may not be home stationed while this is doing it. So you need to be able to do those operations. If you tweak your back or you tweak something, be able to take care of yourself and then get ready for the next evolution of whatever that may be. Now, Brian, as you're, are going through the PA stuff, are there any specific recovery things that are maybe emerging that haven't really gotten there yet? Because as the science and the technology tends to catch up with us, there's a lot of new stuff on the horizon, things that I didn't even think about, and they work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things, if you go to like a physical therapy shop right now, they have traction devices to where they, attach onto your spine and they kind of pull traction on people that have a lot of lumbar issues. They have what is called iontotherapy. It's basically like a TENS unit that has steroid injections into it. A lot of the people now are practicing.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
You're telling me I could be as big as Brian one day?
Yeah, you can shrink in size, actually. Steroids actually cause some atrophy to some extent. We're talking about different types, though. Anyway, also, with that, a lot of guys are doing acupuncture now, which I saw, at the clinic on the Air Force Base. Some of the providers are doing it now. They do like battlefield acupuncture kind of stuff. And, some of these guys that walk in with a ton of pain, like on their legs or wherever, and they throw a couple things in their ear, and it's just like, oh, it's gone. I was like, what? Like, really? Your pain's gone right now? Like, you're not feeling anything?
Voodoo witch magic.
I know.
That's
I don't
crazy,
understand it. And, some of the providers are being trained on that stuff now. So Eastern medicine, Western medicine, colliding, whatever, try out different stuff and see what kind of things work for you. We also have chiropractors that are working on base additionally. So I know you guys have seen it. I tried it. It didn't do much for me, but I'm sure that, my wife does it and she swears by it. So different people work on different things. So try different things. If you keep on trying the same thing, it's not working, just move to a different type of therapy, because there are a ton of therapies out there that you can actually utilize in order to get yourself more pain-free. Granted, you're never going to be completely pain-free. That's not the objective. We want you to be able to move and be able to perform, not worry about debilitating pain or whatever, because we all have our aches and pains.
Yeah, if you want to go look at like the far end of like some people doing some crazy stuff, go look up out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Go look up Dr. Bo Hightower. Okay, so standard spelling of Beau and then Hightower. He actually will adjust people like MMA athletes or famous people. So not only is he a chiropractor and a neuropathy, but he uses a huge hammer and like what looks like a railroad spike. He's done it to me. I couldn't lift my shoulder over my head, right? Like when I was in Albuquerque, and he took the end of this thing and was hit, and I was like, this is the craziest thing ever. Like magic. It was perfectly fine. I was like, what is going on? But if you go look at some of his videos, like that's like the far end of like emerging things that are coming out. Like it's
hit
crazy.
It with the hammer.
So,
It works for
100%. I'm telling you, like up big, and it's like a big Thor hammer. I'm telling you, go check it out. It's crazy. He's got his YouTube is huge, millions of followers. It's insane. Like watch, it's insane.
Yeah, hey, as long as it works. But I think that's important to bring up. Like Brian and Aaron, you guys brought up, your traditional medicine, your holistic medicines. So I think that's important as you're, whether you're in the Air Force yet, or you're training for the pipeline, or you're in the pipeline, like be willing to explore those, because, traditional medicine, medication is not always the right thing to go with, and is not the right answer, and it's not for everybody. I don't even like taking Tylenol if I don't have to. So, but that's me. I want to encapsulate some of the things that we want to hit. As your recovery, staying away from the mental side. If you want to just go with the physical side, you need to be foam rolling. You need to be laying on a lacrosse ball, whether that's on your back. You need to maybe take some kettlebells or some other tools. Make sure that you're, smashing your psoas. You need to be smashing other aspects, other muscles on your body. You need to, if you're not going to dive into yoga, which is fine, it's not for everybody, but it will help you. Make sure you're stretching out. Stretching is important. As a guy that is not that limber as well, it affects me. And I notice if I've been going to yoga or I have been stretching, and then I go through a phase where I haven't been because I've been traveling so much, like I notice a difference in the way I feel, the way I move, the way I get out of bed in the morning. It's huge. So make sure that you're doing that. And I think one of the other two things that are massive are sleep hygiene, which you brought up, Aaron. And I think we're going to cover it in a whole nother episode and dedicate a whole episode to just sleep hygiene.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. It's so important. And I mean, just the data and the numbers support that so much. Poor sleep hygiene is massive. And I think, to quote Dr. Walker, it's an epidemic, and it's going to be more and more of an issue as we move forward as a society. Mm-hmm. So,
there's professional trainers. I'm sorry.
What's that?
There's professional trainers out there that their first question to new people coming on board is, how much sleep do you get per night? And if they're like, I get 5 hours of sleep per night, they'll be like, go away.
Not going to work.
Until you fix that, yeah. We're not going to build anything.
There's no point. So, I'm glad, Jared, you're about to get into it, but nutrition, if you think about you're no kidding, your molecular base for all performance, like your molecular, like the base level is your nutrition. And then the next level up, sleep. Like those, if you don't have those two things dialed in, I'm sorry, like it doesn't matter what you can be as consistent and going to hot yoga and going to your sensory deprivation tanks and following, any program that you want. It's just not going to work.
Now, it's funny too, because I was on team with a Crow who was a complete stud, and he could go without eating all day long, but he was so sleep needy. And me, I could wake up and I was fine, on little sleep, but bro, when it was time to eat, it was time to eat. And
you better feed daddy right now.
Yeah. I would stop. I mean, I would plan my day around like, dude, you better
awesome.
build some time in to that timeline for some food because Papa Bear's got to eat.
Papa Bear gets hangry.
Yes, he does. So I think we've hit on at least, scratch the surface of recovery in general. There are always ways that you can get better in your journey that you're going through to prep for the pipeline, or just overall self-improvement of your physical ability. So ensure you're working out and training. Ensure you're mobilizing, you're eating correctly, and you're sleeping right. And if you're not, get right, and you will see massive improvements in your training and your overall health. So that's it from me. Brian, you want to close us out, buddy?
Absolutely. Great job. Thank you again for listening to the podcast. I think the important thing to take away, Jared covered most of it pretty well, but just kind of to summarize, just like anything else that we do in the military or in life, learn the basics really well before you start adding on a bunch of stuff, just kind of like what Aaron was saying. So the basics, like they were saying, were sleep hygiene, eating correctly, all that stuff. We're talking about Eastern, Western medicine. That's all add-on stuff. You got to build that baseline first to be able to add on extra stuff that, is going to help a little bit. So we don't want to fix anything or throw money at all that stuff, because that's going to cost a lot of money. Having a membership to a float tank or membership to a hot yoga gym or whatever they call them, it's going to cost a lot of money. So focus on what you can do.
Okay, boomer.
In the meantime, and then so what I do is I go for a long run, and that's kind of like my reset button at the end of the week. Everyone has their different thing that they like to do. Trent's got his cold tub, Peach has his float tank, and Aaron, you have your rap songs. I don't know, something like that.
Trap.
Yeah, you just listen to like an Eminem track, and you're like, all right, I'm back in the zone. Let's go kill it.
That's it.
So,
Trap, let's get it.
Figure out what your reset button is for that week, and make sure you get it done. Stretching, foam rolling, all that stuff is great to hit on. So hopefully you guys learn a little bit, take one of these tools and apply them to your daily life. That way you can make yourself better, because we're thinking in long term right now. When we were younger, of course, you can go to and work out and you'll feel okay, because you can do anything that you want and sleep for 5 hours and you'll be okay. But in the long term, it's going to come back to haunt you whenever you start getting up in the years there. You're going to start feeling it. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself now. And people say the same thing for investments, start investing now, but no one ever does it. So do it. Invest in your body.
That took a weird turn.
Make an investment in yourself, everybody.
I'd like to talk to you about the hedge fund that I've got going on.
I don't dive into that stuff, but Roth IRAs, that kind of stuff, make sure you look into that. No, just invest in your body and invest in, where you're going to be at whenever you're 40. You want to be able to do marathons and stuff, or whatever you want to do later on in life. So take care of that and take control of it now. So I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast, and thanks again for all you guys listening out there, supporting us on Instagram. If you guys ever need anything, have any questions, feel free to hit us up on IG. You can go to the website, you can send us an email there, or you can contact a recruiter there. If you go all the way to the bottom, find a recruiter, they'll email you in 72 hours. So again, we're just trying to bring everything that we can to help you guys out. You guys do your part and go out there, crush it, and we'll do our part, help you guys out as much as possible. So thanks again for listening. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate all the support you guys have shown us so far. So make sure you're going out there and earn each breath. We'll catch you guys next time.
Stay hard.